I hope you're having a great start to the week. I wanted to address something with you that's kind of been rolling across our screens in the last few weeks, but really in the last few months since the economic downturn. And I'm going to read a couple data points to you, and then I'd like to talk about how we handle it. There's some new reporting out that says that personal income fell by 2.7% in August. That's U.S. Commerce Department data. And it's largely due to reductions in enhanced unemployment benefits. Allstate, American Airlines, United Airlines, Walt Disney all announced major layoffs, just as the White House and congressional leaders failed to reach an agreement on a new stimulus bill. The second data point is in the second quarter of 2020, the latest data available, the United States economy contracted by 31.4%. on an annual basis. That's the biggest drop in 70 years, so since the Depression. However, since that data reflects the worst of the downturn from the period of April to June, the third quarter gross domestic product is going to show a bounce, a huge shift. There's been a huge split in how it's affected people. The people who are in a shift mindset have skyrocketed. The people who have been sidelined and have stayed sidelined because of their business model or because of their product or service or because of the restrictions on their business have sank and they've had a slower bounce back. Either way, both have seen massive drops, and then they've seen either a V-shaped rebound, or some of them are seeing a W-shaped rebound where they're coming up, dropping, and coming back up again. Now, why am I talking about this? I'm a life transformation coach, right? Well, the second part of life transformation that we don't talk about a lot, beyond setting goals and emotional stuff, is how are we personally processing what's happening in our life to make a shift beyond just the basic emotional feeling that we have at the outset. And the way that's been described for a lot of people is I'm stuck. I have been sidelined, and now I don't know what to do, and I'm stuck. And, you know, I've been there. I have been there so many times in my life. I remember in 2008, I was laid off from a job in sales where I was doing really, really well at getting relationships with my clients, building the deals that we had, selling those deals on a rolling basis, and keeping the fire rolling. And then all of a sudden in 2008, it dropped off the end of the cliff. And I remember, well, it's 2007, 2008. I think it was at the end of 2007, before, like right as President Obama was beginning to take the helm at the White House. He had this massive economic crisis he had to deal with that was set up by the previous administration, right? So what I had to do then was figure out, okay, what do I do? I'm being laid off from my sales job. My partner at the time was working in a hospital, so he worked in healthcare. He was pretty protected. Because in the area that he worked, there were going to continue to be spinal surgeries and plastic surgeries and transplants and things like that his skills were needed. But my skills were, I was going to have to shift. I knew I was going to have to shift. And so I understand that when you're looking down the barrel of a rent payment and a car payment and a student loan payment, and you probably have some other consumer debt like I did at that time, you're wondering, oh, what do I do now? And you can begin to hyperventilate a little bit. It gets in here and you get a little short of breath. And, you know, not to make light of having short of breath during this particular pandemic. We're lucky to have breath. But, you know, that said, where do we go when we process information like this? So this information of a 31.4% drop on an annualized basis, the biggest decline in the overall US economy in 70 years since the Depression. How do we process that? Well, we have a couple different options, and I'd like to present to you and suggest that possibly the way that we have processed this stuff in the past isn't that productive, and the way that we can process it moving forward is an opportunity for us to actually take our lives to a place of more abundance and better happiness. And here's how I look at that. Say you lost your job, like I did in March, and say you were in an industry that you didn't have an opportunity to shift to an online model because you were either an hourly worker or you were a long-term salaried employee that was laid off and you have a specific skill set, or perhaps you have to stay home and deal with your children and homeschool your children, and so there's not an opportunity for you to go back to that hourly job in a hotel or in a restaurant or in the service industry. Maybe your partner's working from home, but you don't have that option because that wasn't part of how your job was set up. So that's one person. The second person is the person who is working from home and is juggling the kids and it feels like their hours have gone through the roof because they're working all the time, and they're working all the time, they're handling the kids all the time, and they're online all the time, so they're getting too much screen time. And so there's a sense of overwhelm there. So you're either overwhelmed by being sidelined or you're overwhelmed with having way too much put on you. So those are the two frames, the two avatar frames I'd like to talk about with you. How do those two individuals both take advantage of this current situation to not sink and not stay stuck, but to take the opportunity and shift to a new place? Well, first of all, we have to look at how we process the things in the external world. There are two ways to process things in the external world. You can react to those things and freak out about them, or you can observe them and handle them and go deeper within yourself to find the strength to move forward, just to move forward. Now, what if we get fatigue over multiple months of this stuff, right? We're getting fatigue from continuing to be bombarded with this stuff. How do we shift again out of that fatigue and kind of recalibrate, get ourselves into a different mind state about it? Well, the first thing I'd like to suggest is that all of this depends on that mindset. All of this, how we react and how we process and how we manage our day-to-day life within it, is all mindset. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I'd like you to consider that this may not be the cataclysm that your mind is making it out to be. Perhaps because you have put your focus on the cataclysm, because you've put your focus on the Armageddon of coronavirus, of the Armageddon of the economic disparity, the Armageddon of the personal things that are happening in your life, the things that are happening to your job, the things that are happening within your family, the things that are of lack. Because you're focusing on the lack, you're not necessarily focusing on the opportunity. What if we shifted our mindset and instead of looking at this like, oh God, another thing, I'm getting overwhelmed, instead of looking at it that way, how about taking a step back, taking a pause, getting present in our energy, and then looking at each of these challenges that comes along as one more reason, one more opportunity why something's got to change. One more opportunity why I've got to stop reacting emotionally to my world, and I've got to start reacting, or not reacting, but responding in a manner that is not emotional, that is more grounded, that sees everything instead of in a black and white, looking for the areas of gray where there might be an opportunity there. If we shift our mindset away from that lack mindset and to that opportunity mindset, we have an opportunity within that shift, that little tiny shift from lack to opportunity, we have a chance to see little pieces that may have been hidden from us in our perspective. When we seize upon those little pieces of things that we may have had hidden, we may have had blinders onto in the past, when we look outside that little box that we're in, that's where real change happens. I'll give you an example. In my own life, in March, I was furloughed. In March, I was furloughed, and I had a couple different opportunities to really step back and look, because I had a sense, my instinct was telling me this was not going to be a slow thing. Just remembering how the economic comeback of after 2007 during the Obama administration that drove the economic growth through to now, through before COVID started. You remember we were in record economic territory? Well, that started 8 years ago. It started, really 13 years ago. And it started with the previous cycle. But this time I got furloughed from an hourly job where I liked what I was doing, but it wasn't ideal, and it wasn't my passion, right? It was something that I enjoyed doing, but it wasn't a replacement for the previous career I had that I was really passionate about. The previous career I had, I was really passionate about, but I'm not working in that area anymore. And so I had an opportunity to do some reflection and really take a second step back and look at what my goals were. And yeah, I had to file for unemployment, and yeah, I had to go on medical assistance in order to cover my insurance because of the cost of my insurance. Yeah, I had to cancel some plans I had for the summer to do some fun things because of the pandemic. Those things just didn't exist anymore. The travel part wasn't going to happen. The hotel part wasn't going to happen. The beach part wasn't going to happen. And so I knew that I was going to be staying right where I was for that time being. What did I choose to do with that time? Well, I'll give you a little rundown. I took a professional certification course from a university online that offered it for free. That was an opportunity that was offered to me. Second, I got involved in a business training program that teaches people how to launch an online course and work the social media around that marketing for that online course and to deliver a product. Third, I took some personal development time and I completed 3 or 4 different personal development courses in line with that prior course. And then I completed a coaching course and a coaching business course to kind of top off the whole thing so that I had a very well-rounded sense and a well-rounded education, self-education, on where I thought I wanted to go next, which was coaching. Back in my old career, I was a trainer, an organizer, a consultant, a media host. I did all those things. And I did all those things within the frame of helping other people learn the knowledge that I was trying to deliver. Well, so this is the same thing. In coaching, we have to engage with you, the viewer, engage with our audience, and then create a new path and present an opportunity to the audience to be able to change their lives. And that's what a life transformation coach does. Well, it's also what a knowledge broker does. A knowledge broker helps people who have existing knowledge and create a course out of it. So I have these two different business models, and I was like, well, I could either be a life coach or I could be a knowledge broker. Well, when I sat down and really thought about it, wait, I can do both. I can do both with my new business. And as it turned out, my old business name was still, my old business was still operating from a dormant point of view, so I could bring it out of dormancy, do a DBA so that I could name a new trademark business that was a part of the other business's name. It's a complicated framework, but it works. And I could create this new product that helped people on their personal journeys and also helped people on their business journeys. And so that's what I decided to do. But if I hadn't had the opportunity from March, where I was furloughed in the first place, I wouldn't have gotten to the place in July where it all started to fit together and it started to click. And that was instinct. That was listening to my inner being and watching my own alignment with my values, with my calling, with my mission, with my purpose to help other people through a really difficult time. And I learned that from my previous journey in 2007, as well as several others in my life, where I had to make some shifts that were uncomfortable, that were painful, and that led me to have to make a shift. Like, I had to say no more. I could not take any more. And so those shifts led me to, once again, what I say, hit the reset button on my life. That's how I describe it. And when I hit the reset button on my life, I found opportunity by not looking backward, not looking back into the past and saying, God damn it, another one? Could I, really? This is happening to me again? I'm 48 years old and I'm getting kicked to the curb again? No, that's not how I processed it. How I processed it this time was I took a mindset of opportunity and I looked forward at each little thing that was coming my way to try to find that hidden piece that I had missed before that drove me towards a shift. And so you can do this too. That's why we're talking about this, is because you can do this too. You can take this moment right now of uncertainty, of nervousness, of anxiety, and you can sit in it. You absolutely can sit in it. And our mind is really great at making it worse. You know, one of the things that people do is they stack their negativity. They stack their anxiety. They stack all the things that can go wrong. Or we can stack all the things that can go right. We can stack all the little gratitude that we have each day for just being alive, for just having our children near us, for just being able to have a little bit closer relationship with our partner, to just being able to concentrate on building ourselves, for that opportunity to move forward. And then, and here's the key, we can make a decision to take action to going to a different place. And if we make a decision to take action and shift to a different place, by following one of those hidden opportunities, that's where we manifest a more abundant life. That's where we manifest something great on the other side. But the one thing that gets in the way, there's one thing that gets in the way of us actually following those little breadcrumbs in a different direction. And if you remember the poem about the road less traveled. You come to a V in the road, and you can take the road that everyone else is on, or you can take the road less traveled. Well, what is the decision that keeps us from taking the road less traveled? Begins with an F. Fear. And so that's why I harp a lot on not acting out of fear, not reacting, but getting present and looking and observing a situation, and then instead of reacting, taking advantage of a longer view, of a hopeful view. Responding. So instead of reacting, responding to what we see, and then making some small decisions along the way to allow our intention to move forward. That's manifestation. And so when you put the power of intention out there with the right mindset, and you follow one of those little breadcrumbs that you know it's there. You may have stopped to look at it and you've tried to blind it out, but you know it's there. Well, once you pay attention to it and you observe it and you make a decision, yeah, that's for me, or no, that's not for me. But you move to the next one. Yeah, is that one for me? Maybe that one is for me. And look at it in the frame of taking an opportunity to do something different. That's where you're following intention and you're following what the universe is bringing to you. You're following what your higher power is bringing to you. And you may or not believe in a higher power. You may or not believe in universal manifestation or the secret, the power of intention, the power of attraction, the law of attraction. But if you believe in the idea of having a mindset of instead of reactivity, response, you can get to taking advantage of opportunities in crazy times like we live in right now. And so I'm going to give you a little assignment in this video. What are you doing? What are the things in your life that you have been reactive to that you need to be responsive to? Make a list of 5 things that you have been reactive to, but you really should be responsive to. And then make a plan today, make a decision and a plan today to look at each of those 5 things and make a choice to shift to the response plan instead of the reactivity plan. To make a response that is balanced, that is a shift. And be brave about it. Don't let fear get in your way. Be brave about saying yes to your life instead of, oh shit, here we go again. Make a choice to say yes to the little things that are coming in your direction where you might have an opportunity for a promotion at work. You may have an opportunity to start an online business. You may have an opportunity to spend more time with your family by doing an online course. You may have an opportunity to change careers or go back to school altogether. You may have a chance to enter the knowledge industry. You have these opportunities that are sitting out here. There's something that is speaking to you in here that you're not doing. Time to choose yes. Time to answer that inner voice, that inner calling, and then set up a purpose and a mission that is backed by intention to say yes to those opportunities and manifest a better life. So that's my challenge. Write down the 5 things that you are currently reactive to that you should be responsive to, 5 things. And then next to each one of those 5 things, make a decision on how you're going to be responsive instead. You're going to observe and then respond to each of those issues to take you in a new direction of life. As always, if you would like to be part of the Reset, Transform, Rise coaching group, I'd love to have you. I'd love to work with you like this on a weekly basis. Go to resettransformrise.com, sign up, and you'll get the information on our next workshop. So I hope you have a great week. Do those 5 things, and feel free to post in the comments what your 5 things are and share them openly. And you never know, you might get a call from me. Have a great week. Namaste.